Thank you for taking my call, Mr. President. But as I said, this has to remain all off the record. I'm glad nobody was listening in. Or were they? So we've heard that a former lawyer of President Trump, Michael Cohen, may have or may not have recorded a conversation between him and President Trump regarding a payment to a tabloid in order to keep a story under wraps. So that got me thinking, what about all the times that presidents have recorded their conversations with other people? Who did it and how did they do it? So let's take a look at the history of White House recordings. Today on So when and how exactly did the practice of recording White House conversations start? In 1939, Franklin Delano Roosevelt was irritated that not only a private conversation between himself and senators had been leaked, but that it had been leaked incorrectly by the press. The reporter claimed FDR's position towards the emerging threat of Germany was summed up by the phrase, quote, "The American frontier is on the Rhine." In other words, FDR appeared to be pledging not to allow Germany to get far beyond its borders, which was counter to what his position was publicly. Remember, this is 1939, a little more than 2 years before the United States got into World War II. That misquote prompted FDR to devise a way to secretly record his press conferences a year later. Running in a nasty campaign for an unprecedented third term, he didn't want to take any chances. This began a 3.5-decade stretch of American presidents taping their conversations in the White House. FDR only used his recording equipment for 11 weeks from August 1940 through his re-election. He intended to use it to record his press conferences as a backup to his stenographer. He wound up recording 14 press conferences, but also recorded several Oval Office conversations. His recorder was a large device with a microphone hidden in a nearby lamp. There are very few recordings from the Harry Truman era, and only about 75 from Dwight Eisenhower. The technology was clunky, but Eisenhower did have a system installed where a button under the president's desk turned on a microphone that was hidden inside a fake telephone. John F. Kennedy totally changed the game of White House recording. He began recording after he felt he received bad advice in the run-up to the failed Bay of Pigs invasion. Kennedy was savvy about how his image was portrayed and sought to control it heavily. Kennedy kept his recording secret, so much so that not even his advisors knew they were being recorded. Kennedy also wanted to keep the tapes to help with his memoirs once he was out of office. After the assassination of John Kennedy in 1963, Lyndon Johnson was sworn in as president. Johnson greatly increased the use of secret tapes and made it a staple of his White House. Technology was getting better, and Johnson wanted more of it. He wanted to record as many meetings and phone calls as possible, and even had his secretaries transcribe them at the end of every day. Ironically, Richard Nixon and his aides were skeptical initially of using a recorder, but Nixon's aides developed a complex but user-friendly way for the president to use a taping system. Nixon's transponder was voice-activated, so whenever he would start speaking, it would turn on. This recording ability was all over Nixon's White House, from the Oval Office and the Cabinet Room to Nixon's private office and the Eisenhower Executive Office building. That system was dismantled voluntarily after it became public, when White House aide Alexander Butterfield revealed the tapes existed in the Watergate congressional hearings. President Nixon's recordings, of course, ultimately led to his resignation because they revealed his role in the Watergate break-in. This is why conventional wisdom held that presidents stopped recording. But this isn't actually the case. Presidents Ford, Carter, and George H.W. Bush reportedly had no recording rules in their White Houses. And there's no evidence that Bill Clinton taped anything secretly in the White House either. But Ronald Reagan did record Situation Room calls with foreign dignitaries, and has about 800 hours of videotapings from closed meetings. Ronald Reagan was an actor and was very comfortable on camera, so this was his preferred method of recording what happened in the Oval Office. There is some evidence that George W. Bush recorded at least some video conferences that he had when speaking to commanders in the field. It is well known that Barack Obama did record his conversations in the Oval Office. Novelist Mark Bowden was interviewing President Obama while doing research for his book, The Finish. During the interview, Bowden's recorder had died. As he walked out of the Oval Office, he spoke with advisor Ben Rhodes and said, quote, "I know you're not going to believe this, but my recorder died in the middle of that interview." Rhodes shot back, "Don't worry about it, we record everything in here. We'll get you a transcript before you leave." And he did. Finally, we reach today. President Donald Trump may record conversations, as he hinted here in this tweet regarding his conversations with James Comey, but there's been no definitive evidence of that. So does President Trump record his Oval Office conversations? Well, we don't know yet, but eventually we will. Presidential recordings are all subject to eventual release and archiving under the Presidential Records Act. In fact, the U.S. Supreme Court ruled in a unanimous decision in 1974 that a president had to release recordings unless they contained military or diplomatic secrets. So yes, presidents since 1939 have used listening devices to record their conversations within the White House. It seems as technology gets better and mistrust of the media gets worse, this isn't a practice that's going to go away anytime soon. Thank you guys again for watching my video. Remember to like the video and subscribe to my channel. And remember to click that little bell right here so that you're alerted every time MAN-Crafts uploads a new video. Please share this video with all your friends and stay tuned every single week for brand new content right here on MAN-Crafts. Remember to follow us on Instagram. You can find us right here. Thanks again for watching. Later. And please remember to follow us on Instagram. You can find us right here at this hashtag. Right. Cut.